I'm sure 90% of people know what Plants vs. Zombies is. You put plants down and they shoot zombies. Easy. Well, apparently it's easy enough to where people are willing to make their own spin-offs of it. I'm not talking about mods like Plants vs. Zombies Fusion, I'm talking about App Store clones. Plants vs. Zombies piqued my interest recently because after watching a video about Plants vs. Zombies 3 and seeing the new Plants vs. Zombies Replanted, I thought might as well just make my own Plants vs. Zombies video, except I'm gonna play 5 different clones that I found on the App Store. Is there a chance that any of these live up to the original? Time to find out. So the first game I got is Metal Army vs. US Zombie, and if you couldn't tell by the title, it seems like some sort of Russian video game, but I honestly don't know. I tried researching, but I couldn't really find anything about the developers. Anyways, there's 3 modes in this game: Classic, Endless, and Puzzles. In Classic mode, it's just, your average PvZ experience. The progression is decent. You get a troop about every 1 to 2 levels. And instead of getting sun in this mode, you get gold. So I guess you're just paying the salary for these soldiers to come kill zombies. Anyways, it was kind of slow to get it, but it was still doable overall. They also added upgrades and a plant food alternative. Instead of plant food, you give them beer, which is kind of sick, I'm not gonna lie. And then for the upgrade, you can use like a super serum like Captain America, and then they'll do more damage, and some of them even like change how they shoot. For example, the rocket launcher guy, if you give him the super serum, he shoots 4 different rockets into whatever lanes have zombies. So that's pretty neat. The levels were not too hard, except for when they introduced this like cinder block zombie. Then it got pretty hard because I could not like beat him at all. The other game modes only unlocked after you beat level 15 because that's what the last level you actually get troops on. And then everything after that is just the same levels, same units, same everything. Endless mode is exactly what you think it is. You just keep doing it until you die. It was kind of difficult to get far though because of all the zombies and how stupid they were when they stacked up. It was almost impossible to do it without the rocket launcher upgrade. The final mode is puzzle mode, and in this one you play as the zombies instead, where you have to place the zombies in a pre-randomized whatever layout of a garden, I guess you'd call it. You'd have to place the zombies in a pre-laid out garden of troops, and you have to put them in an order to where they'll be able to get past all 5 lanes. Which, I mean, it was nice that it was different, and at least this game has mini games unlike some of the other ones in this video. But if you just put the cement brick zombie on like every lane, then you kind of just win. But anyways, to rank these games, I got 4 different categories which don't really add into the final score, but just to give you a scope of what I think about each of these games. First category, difficulty. I would give this game personally a 5 out of 10 on difficulty because yes, the levels were like kind of hard. The only difficult thing was having to deal with the zombies when you don't have the super serum, but if you do, then it doesn't take that much difficulty. The second category is bullshit. For this category, I put 7 out of 10 because it's kind of BS with how strong the zombies are and how little the regular guns do. Again, the only thing that could save you is like a whole row of like super serum RPG people, but even then that's like kind of impossible to get. That's why I gave it a 7 on bullshit. The third category is originality, and for that I give it an 8 because, it's not plants, it's like army troops. The troops though were very similar to like the regular plants. For example, there was a troop that shot like blue bullets and they would slow down the zombies like a snow pea. There's a unique one like the rocket launcher that you can shoot in like 4 different lanes, which I'm pretty sure that's a plant in Plants vs. Zombies 2, but I have not played enough Plants vs. Zombies 2 to know that. Anyways, I give it an 8 out of 10 on originality because at least it's not plants. And for the last category, fun, I gave this game a 7 out of 10 because it did keep me hooked for the time that it took me to get all the troops, and then after that it started kind of dying down. But it was, Plants vs. Zombies, your standard experience. It wasn't too bad. And so with all of that, I'm going to have to rank this game with a final score of 6.7 out of 10.
This is chapter.
Oh,
Second game on the list is Plants vs. Bugs, and it doesn't work. I tried loading into the game and it just kind of stuck here for like ever. I waited for like 10 minutes for this to load and it just didn't work. And so I downloaded another game, Oil vs. Zombies. This one's another war type of Plants vs. Zombies. Very similar to the last game, but instead of collecting sun, you just collect oil because I guess America loves oil. So instead of getting a sunflower, you get an oil rig, which is kind of crazy. For the pea shooter, you get a regular US Army soldier. And then for the zombies, they're Egyptian zombies. They look very similar to the ones from Plants vs. Zombies 2, so that's gonna deduct a point from originality. There's only one game mode, so when you click to play the game, it just takes you straight into the regular adventure mode. Instead of progressing like one lane at a time, you just start with 5 lanes already. And there's some really bad spelling in this game. I want to highlight it because it's kind of hilarious. For the oil rig, we got the Oil Shore. Everyone knows Gunter. Then we got Gunter but Blue, Ninja.
And you know what else is massive?
Cannon, which makes sense. You know what? It makes sense. And then Stone Man. The game was really slow and not that entertaining, especially because there's only one mode and I didn't feel like it was worth playing until I got all the troops because of the slow progression. So I'm going to rank it real quick and we'll move on to the next one. To rank it for difficulty, I gave it a 4 out of 10 because it wasn't difficult. It was just really slow, kind of mind-numbing. For bullshit, I did a 3 out of 10 because there's nothing really to write home about in this game. I think the only bullshit part was having to wait for the freaking zombies to come on the screen and die. Originality, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Again, because, you know, soldiers, it's not plants. But also, the zombies are kind of ripped off from Plants vs. Zombies 2. The designs are very close to it, so that's going to go down to a 7 out of 10. And for the fun, I'll do a 3 out of 10 because, again, it was kind of boring. That gives me a final score of 5 out of 10. The third game I got is Plants Battle 2, and honestly this one looks like the highest effort one I've seen. They stuck with the plant theme and even decided to add their own type of plants with their own abilities. For the plants, the sunflower kind of looks like a panda. I don't know if you can see it, but I mean it makes it look cuter, I guess. And instead of a pea shooter, you got a corn shooter, which is different. Instead of a potato mine, you get a watermelon mine, which that's nice, I guess, alongside a bunch of other plants. There were so many levels in this game and so many mini games also, but the only part I would say that brings this game down is the fact that every sound effect was stolen from the original game. In classic mode, the levels were pretty bland and not that difficult. It felt like it took a lot of effort to actually progress the game. But one of the things that I thought was nice is that there was actual changing levels. For example, there was nighttime levels also in this game. Despite all this, some of the plants were still very similar to how they are in normal Plants vs. Zombies. There was a lot of mini games, so let me just give you a quick synopsis of some of them. Light Up Stars was pretty interesting. There would be 7 spots in the garden with a highlighted star fruit on it, and you'd have to plant a star fruit on every spot to beat the game. The slot machine game mode was pretty easy. You just spam the slot machine and it gives you plants to put down. Little Zombie was Little Zombies. Last Stand was just like Plants vs. Zombies. You just set up your defenses and try to survive as long as possible. Zombie Quick Zombies. Invisible Zombies were Invisible Zombies. Bowling was just walnut bowling, but instead of using a walnut, they decided to make it a tree. Push Pumpkin. I don't know what that is because I kind of like gave up after every other mini game. And Dotman, they really just put Pac-Man as a mini game. I have no idea why. I think it was a decent game with the effort they put into the different plant models, but still there was room for improvement. Despite that, the mini games were a nice touch, even if there was a lot of them. To rank it, I give it 3 on difficulty. It wasn't hard, it was just really slow. I give it 2 for BS because there wasn't much bad stuff about the game. Again, it was just really slow. For originality, I give it a 6 out of 10 because yes, the plants were unique compared to original Plants vs. Zombies. Like, they look different, but they did steal a lot of the sound effects from Plants vs. Zombies. But for fun, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Mostly because of the mini games, which give you a little extra to do, which was good. Overall, I'd give this a 6.5 out of 10. I think this was the game I was the most hyped for out of all of them because of the menu music alone. I mean, just listen to this banger. This game had a lot of different plants that, although they were similar to the ones in Plants vs. Zombies, the art style at least looked consistent across them, which was really nice. It was a little hard because of, the touchscreen and wiping down on my phone, but other than that, it was not terrible. There was only one mode, that being classic mode. The levels were pretty straightforward and the zombies had varying designs, which was interesting. But this game got really hard towards the end. I don't think it's an impossible kind of hard, but you really had to manage your plants and cooldowns and just know what to sacrifice when, because oh my goodness, it was dang near impossible to actually do it. The good thing about this game is that you got a lot of sun from just, one row of sunflowers, which was really nice because that helped you a lot with being able to put more into your defenses because of how much you get overran in this game. The zombies also were really strong for no reason at all. I was able to last for a good amount of time. The normal zombie was, standard. It didn't have that much health, but when it came to the second zombie, the Conehead alternate for this game, it was like it had like 3 times the health of a normal one, which is kind of dumb, and it took so long to get rid of it. And that's not even where it ends. There was another one that had a helmet on for some reason, and he took even longer. There was a point where they would just put like 2 or 3 of them in every lane and just watch how you try to defend it. It was difficult stalling them, but after a bit, I was able to kind of get the strategy down I needed to survive. Aside from that, the progression was a little slow, but the gameplay itself wasn't too bad. For difficulty, I'll give it a 7 because it was pretty hard towards the later levels, despite having a lot of sun to be able to use. I think a lot of that was with the recharge time that took a bit, and that's why I also give it a 6 out of 10 for BS, because just dumping a bunch of helmet zombies in every lane was kind of dirty, I'm not gonna lie. For originality, I'll give it an 8 out of 10 because yes, I know it's just plants, but it looks like they actually try to make new plants for this game and not just put different sprites together like the last one. And for the fun, I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10 because honestly, I played a lot of this game just trying to beat the levels because of how difficult it was getting. After all that, I give this game a final score of 7.5 out of 10. Finally, for the last game, we have Mutated Plant Super Skill. This game looked the most HD, but also the crappiest. Let me explain. The sprites for the plants look great compared to the rest of the games, but looks can be deceiving because this game was a gacha game. There's a way to summon for plants and equipment like a shotgun. So yeah, you get to use a shotgun, but I'll talk about this in a little bit. There's a decent amount of levels in this game, login rewards, and of course microtransactions. This was clearly made recently. When loading in, you start with 2 pea shooters and 2 walnuts, and it's not like traditional Plants vs. Zombies where you place your plants as the round goes. You put everything down at the beginning and watch it try to defend the zombies, which, I mean, it's different at least. You can fuse your plants to upgrade them. So for example, if you put 2 pea shooters on top of each other, you get a triple pea shooter. If you put 2 walnuts on top of each other, you get like a tall nut alternative with an awesome mustache. But sadly, the levels I played were identical, and I don't think there's a way to get more plants without summoning for more. Also, at some point you get to give Bob, which is this game's version of Crazy Dave, a shotgun, and clicking on the zombies lets him shoot them. which just all it does is give you extra DPS. I stopped playing after a few levels because I could already tell that the only way to progress in this game was to just summon for more plants. To rank this game, I'll give it a 1 out of 10 on difficulty because it was not hard at all. It just gave you everything you needed to survive like the first levels, and there was no skill or anything involved. For BS, I'll give it a 1 out of 10 again because there's nothing hard in this game. Only thing that's bullcrap is the fact that people might spend money on it. Originality, I give it a 4 out of 10 only because the designs of the plants were unique in a way. But besides that, Bob looks like Crazy Dave and the game is a clone. And finally, for fun, I'll give it a 2 out of 10 again because of the mind-numbing gameplay that you're watching right now. I gave this a final score of 2 out of 10 because this game is not it. Okay, to wrap it up, I think my favorites were obviously Plants vs. Goblins 5, but also Metal Army vs. US Zombie was nice after looking at the rest of the games. Ultimately though, I want to say Plants vs. Goblins because of how it's more like a Plants vs. Zombies game. I mean, like in the way that it's Plants vs. Zombies, not soldiers versus zombies. Aside from that, all of these games are not the best at all, so you should definitely go check out normal Plants vs. Zombies if you haven't, because it's just so much better. It's only $5, and I understand if you don't have that. I mean, you can download it. Don't tell them I said that. But go play the original game, and unless you really want to, I wouldn't bother with any of these games, except maybe for Plants vs. Goblins, because just listen again. Anyways, I know this was a quick, short video, but that's just because I'm working on something else that's really big. So hopefully you guys will at least enjoy that one. Thank you for watching if you did watch, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.